as we move into the time of our service to connect with Spirit, with God, Goddess, all that is, however you call it, divine. Begin to settle into your chair and feel beneath you not just the chair, but the floor, and deeper still, the ground which this building is built upon, the earth, our mother. Closing your eyes if you have not already done so, and feel comfortable, and moving your feet to be placed flat on the floor. You may choose to bring your hands to your lap or your thighs, or you may wish to place your thumb and middle finger together in this ancient Kara Mudra. Become aware of your breath and begin to take several slow, deep breaths, filling your lungs all the way to the bottom. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And with each breath, going deeper and deeper within, feeling more relaxed, deeper inside yourself, feeling safe in this space. Breathing in and breathing out. Let the thought, I am not who I think I am, enter into your consciousness. I am not who I think I am. I am not my body, not my gender. I'm not my job. I'm not my sexual preference. I am not the disease I may have. I am not my income. I am not the labels placed on me by family, society, or myself. These things define parts of roles that I play, but I am so much more. After hearing what we are not, we may feel a void in ourselves, an emptiness waiting to be filled, and maybe even a little anxious at the thought. Just breathe through these thoughts and settle back into openness. If I am not who I think I am, who am I? I am that I am. That spark of divinity that is in each one of us. I am is the name of God. I am is who you are, your true nature, your real self, and nobody else. This is your real identity, the presence of God as you, the indwelling Christ. Let the music carry you to your center, to your I am presence for several minutes, traveling deeper, making that connection. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. With gratitude and thankfulness, we begin to come back to this room and space, becoming aware of where we are and feeling the energy of those around us. We take several breaths to bring us fully back. And when you're ready, open your eyes and smile.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful indeed. So, from that place of peace, I'm going to take you on a harried airport traffic jam up. So, get ready. You ready?
No.
We're going anyhow. You know the way I am. So, we might have talked about this before, but I think that was when I interviewed here, but we're going to do it again anyhow because I love this. So we're in the air controller's tower, and there's a big screen, like the big screen that's going to be there, that big screen. And there's all of these planes, and they're circling, and they're circling, and they're circling. And everybody has excess baggage on all of these different aircrafts. Now, so imagine if they're carrying, besides the weight of clothing, which would be minimal, but imagine if they're carrying, if there is, let's just say 100 people up there, if they're all carrying hate and anger and past issues and what your mother did to you and what your father did to you and your sister did to you and your brother did to you, and it's going round and round and round and round and round, and the air traffic controllers are going crazy and the pilots don't know what to do. So the pilot gets up and says, "You are all risking your life. You're risking your life because by carrying all this stuff, it's too heavy and I can't land, we can't land. We're all up here circling. We can't land." So one by one, the people start thinking about, well, my clothes don't weigh that much and I'll let go of them, and okay, so my tote can go, I'll get a new laptop, and then we're too heavy. We can't land. You have to start realizing you're risking your life. And one by one, the thought of dying up there and the thought of what would happen if my life were over today, all of a sudden start releasing and letting go and thinking of all the people you love. And why haven't I talked to that one in 12 years? And I need to do this and make amends here. And as this starts going, all of a sudden the aircraft are cleared to come in. They're not too heavy to land, except for one. Just one. So why? Why one? Because there's always one that's holding on so tight, they just can't let go. So while all of the other people were able to release and let go, be happy that their lives were saved, that they're on the ground, it's just that one. So my goal today is to be sure that that one is not here. We're going to work on that today. I know that one is not here. So how did all these aircraft get up there in the first place? Well, you took something too personally. You know, and that's a whole nother talk, but I just have to say something about that. I think, you know, we say it was nothing personal. Well, you know what? It is something personal. No matter how much we say it's not something personal, it's personal. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
It's personal. Come on. You say a little. Somebody said to me this week in a meeting that they had hoped I was the one, but I'm not.
Whoa.
Yeah, I took that very personal.
Whoa.
Yeah, I took that very personal. And then I said, so be it. The rest of you are here, and I'm not Jesus, so I am not the Messiah, I am not the one, and I'm not the Pope, but I am your minister, and I'm glad to be here, so we'll just get rid of that one. But here's the thing about personal. Now, if I were still in awe of this, and hurt, and despondent, and came in here dejected and miserable, that's when taking personal isn't good. Hear it, evaluate it, and say, okay, that's your opinion, that's not my opinion, and I'm okay. So there's a line there. So we get up in the aircraft with all of our stuff when we take things too personally and hold on to it, And then the second thing that we do is we keep blaming that person who hurt me. Now I could be going around saying so-and-so and so-and-so, do you know what she did to me? Or he. But I'm not going to do that, because if you do that, then you keep that energy going out there and out there and out there, and then it builds into a little story like this, and it builds into a story this big, and then you guys are going to be talking to it when I'm in the grave. Somebody will bring up that day. So we gotta let it go. And then you create a story. So what happens when you tell a story? You tell a story, right? And then after I tell it to Annie and she tells it to John, she just gives it a little more lift there. And John takes it to the men's group, so now they all have it. And then by the time the story gets back to me, holy moly, right? So you've made the story part of your existence. Now I can live on this energy. No, you don't want to do that. See, you've created this story and you've made it part of your life. And because of that, you can't let go of that story. So we really need to talk about this and talk about this forgiveness. So what can forgiveness be then? How about the peace that everyone learned to feel when they allowed their circling planes to land? How about that peace when you say, oh, thank God. My gratitude today was thank God that I was in my own truth, not to let that person's comment kill me. Do you see what I'm saying? So the more secure you are in who and what you are and how you feel about yourself, then that truth of that, yeah, you took it personally. Yeah, it can hurt, but it doesn't remain part of your existence. You have to be able to let go. See, because it's not for the offender. It's for the person. It's for me. It's taking back your power. Saying thank you for your opinion, but this is who and what I am, and I may think about that or I may not. No, I choose not to, because that doesn't affect my life. I will not let that. So you have to take responsibility how you feel. Then how do I feel? How do you think I feel today? Yeah, thank you. So it's about your healing. See, we want this metaphysical, that's old metaphysics. Just say, I am healed, I am healed, I am healed, I am healed. Well, no, that does not heal you. But what heals you is when you take that responsibility for your own healing and you take it in. And it's not about the person who hurt you, it's about your reaction to, or not reacting to. So forgiveness then is about being a hero instead of a victim. Oh, what they did to me. Versus, it's gone. So forgiveness is a choice then. It's something that you can learn. You absolutely, it's like, you don't know what they did to me. I do, because they did it to me too, and it wasn't good. So what forgiveness is not, then you're not condoning someone's unkindness. You're saying, well, I forgive you for being so miserable, blah, blah, blah. No, you're not condoning it. And it's not about forgetting. And it's not about excusing bad behavior. And it's not about denying your feelings. You know, there's an interesting quote. You know, I've been working from the Book of Joy from the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. And the Dalai Lama had this thing, and it really started me thinking. All the world's major religions, with their emphasis on love and compassion, patience, tolerance, and forgiveness, he says, can and do promote inner values. But the reality of the world today is that the grounding ethics in religion is no longer adequate. This is why I am increasingly convinced that the time has come to find a way of thinking about spirituality and ethics beyond religion altogether. Whoa, right? Is that a whoa? So what does he mean when he speaks of spiritual ethics and why religion is no longer adequate? Anybody have any thoughts about that? Are you willing to share? Okay, I'm offering. Okay. So what does it mean? Spiritual ethics. Remember we did, quite a while back, but I did a thing on spiritual manners. And spiritual manners morph into spiritual ethics. And what I think the Dalai Lama is saying is that we have to get out of the clouds and become more realistic and more humanistic. I think he's moving towards humanity as a whole. And, you know, as a Buddha, you can take God out of the equation, but you still have the energy of the universe, and you have that there is something within each one of us. And I think that's what he's saying. He says that we're followers, that the churches, the religion are followers, and they're like sheep. And you'll never find that in a New Thought church. God bless their independent minds. But, so in the Science of Mind textbook, then Dr. Holmes writes this: the world has never yet followed the simple ethics of Jesus, yet is loud in its proclamation that it is Christian. He says this statement is not written in a spirit of controversy. It's one of conviction. And that's in 1926 that was written. And look where we are today. So to be sure, then this following, this sticking to dogma and ritual and all of that, it does permeate through all religion. But there's a call. And that call is to a higher order, to a higher consciousness, to divine forgiveness. Because anything uncomfortable inside us at any time, that is a call to something higher. So here's something I was thinking about. So as humans then, we show how petty we can be, and yet then we get in this air of how virtuous we are. So is that duality? Is that a flip side of a coin? So I was going to buy a bag of stones this week, and it's right on my block, but I just didn't get to it, because I wanted to put a stone on each one of your chairs this morning. And then I was going to ask you, if you have no mistakes in your life, you could throw stones at me. I didn't get to the stone store. Now that I think about it, it was probably a good idea. But really, come on, is there one of you in here, and if you are, you come up here and I'll leave. Is there one of you in here that has never made a mistake, or even gone a little farther, hurt yourself, hurt somebody else? I mean, come on, we're human. The answer is no, unless Jesus is here, and I think he got angry, threw tables over things too, so it's okay. But Holmes writes this: "O foolish one, blind, what do you know about virtue? Has your life been beyond reproach?" Of course not. Have you fallen short of the divine calling? We think it's not that altruistic people are called, or ministers are called, or rabbis are called. We're called. We're called to be more than we are right this minute from the next minute. We are being called to come to a higher consciousness. So it says, have you fallen short of the divine calling? What's calling you? What's calling you? Is it to be something different? Is it that it's time to write that book, compose that melody? Is there something in you? I met with someone this week and they said, I just don't want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what to do. And I kept saying, but please stop saying you don't know what you want to do. Say, this is me, what I am looking for. I'm open to Spirit to show me the way, and sit back with it and go into mindfulness. It's time to stop scorning our brothers and sisters. It's time. You know, the mind that condemns, it doesn't understand the truth of being. How can you say, I stand in my truth, and then I criticize this and I criticize that and I complain about that? How can you do that? See, the mind that condemns does not understand the truth of being, and the heart, which would shut the door to one who's made a mistake. They strangle their own life, closing their eyes to a greater vision. They do. And the Dalai Lama goes on to say that in this time, humanity tends to overlook the natural human qualities of kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. I get back there. I know a lot of you, and I do it too, we smile at tellers and say thank you to people who serve us, and smile at a little baby and stuff. But did you ever just smile at someone and they look at you like, why would you smile at me? I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to acknowledge your presence. Yeah. So, forgiveness. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. I was writing about it this morning, and I realized how little my mind is, because thank God I haven't been hit with tragedies and things this high in my life. But when people can, like the Amish, can forgive the people who shot their children, and they're not making any type of statement. That's what they're doing. That's their belief system. So can I be that person? I don't know, and I pray God that I'm not in that position. But there's remarkable instances all through the book of Joy of all of the things that have gone on, the apartheid in Africa and all that. And people have come to their accused, the victims have come, and they've said, I forgive you. And the reason that they say that, I forgive you, is they say they want to be a part of the healing, not of the hatred. So what do we want to be a part of? How many of you would not want to waste any more precious energy trapped in anger and hurt? Anybody willing not to do that anymore? Absolutely, me too. I raise my hand with you. So when you forgive, you're acknowledging that you cannot change the past, and you don't want to be stuck anymore. It's like, what is that thing, stuck on stupid? We're not going to be stuck on stupid. So the Archbishop says it takes noble courage. I love it when a writer writes about noble or nobility. Noble courage. Doesn't that make you like, whoa, I can do this? Your shoulders go back, you get 6 feet tall. See it? 6 feet tall. Okay? And when he speaks of noble courage, he's saying, be a part of the solution. Stop being a part of the problem. Be a part of the process of healing, not hating. Does this come easy? I think not. But I do know that we have the nobility of spirit. Think about that. We're noble in spirit. And when you're noble in spirit, that brings peace. That brings peace. So, forgiveness, then, is an attribute of the strong. A lot of people say, well, if I ever forgive, I'm not giving in on this one. You don't know. And it's an attribute of the strong. Just because you have been hurt by someone, does that mean that you give up your own mental well-being and stay stuck? Wait, no, Cindy. Hurt and anger need not be permanent. You're not bound by precedent. You are not bound by precedent. You've heard the question, how many times are you going to let people rent space in your head, right? And why are you going to give this person a piece of your mind? And who's paying the rent? Exactly, you're paying the rent. So then to forgive is to set a prisoner free. And here's the hard part of that statement. Set a prisoner free and discover the prisoner is you. So, if we don't release and let go, then we're indeed the prisoners. We're locked in our own minds. But it doesn't mean that you forget. It means you release. You remember so you don't allow yourself in a situation like that to be hurt again. But when you say something to the effect of, I forgive, but I'll never forget. Is that forgiveness?
No.
No, absolutely not. That I never will forget. That is choosing anger and hatred over forgiveness. And Desmond Tutu says we're not to lose sight of humanity of the person while responding to the wrong with clarity and fitness. And there was a story in the book about Desmond Tutu's father, from what I read, was an alcoholic. And Desmond Tutu, in this 80th birthday, that's what the whole book is about, his 80th birthday, or the Dalai Lama is one of them. But anyhow, he was saying that he was talking about that, and he was still, 80th birthday, and he's still upset, and it's hurting him. But what the Dalai Lama said, you say when your father was sober that he was wonderful. So the Archbishop said yes. He said, so when he's sober, he's a good man. Yes. And when he's drunk, he's not the same person. He's somebody else. Said, so can you get rid of the somebody else and just hold on to and love the good person when he's sober? And that's a completely different way of looking at things. And I really love that, because how many of them might have a situation with a relative and you love that and you remember all of these good times. So can you bring that more into your heart space and send out more love and just let the other part go? It's not that you're giving credence to bad behavior or anything, but it's allowing a space. See, one can forgive, but it takes two to unite. So the first step is forgiveness, and then, if possible, how do you turn that into a two? You know what? We don't want any more anger. We don't want any more hurt in our world. We don't want to be strangled by this, strangled by the webs of hatred and anger and greed, and that we can't even get up in the morning and say, whoa, thank God I'm alive. We don't want to be in this. No more trapped into a story. Let your plane land. I saw this thing, it's always amazing I find what I'm looking for, but it says you can't reach for anything new in your hands if you're still full of yesterday's junk. So take your hands right now and write yesterday's junk. Come on, everybody, let's go. Get rid of it. Yesterday's junk is gone. Okay, so think about it this way. The person you have not forgiven is the key to your happiness, or they're your jailer. That person can be the key to your happiness, or they can be your jailer. Which do you want? How about forgiving yourself? It says, forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespassed against us. So even in the Bible, it is saying us first. We have to do the work first. Not the work in our intellectual head, but the whole being, connecting head and heart. We have to do it together. And when it's ourselves, how hard is that? The hardest. Always easy to forgive somebody else. So we don't have to beg for forgiveness. There's no judgment. There's nothing held against us. Through forgiving ourselves, we make room for miracles. Who knows what's going to happen? It's not easy. But here's the reason why. We don't see things as they are. We don't.